can fly. Think I can fly when I'm with you. My arms are wide, catching fire as the wind blows.
Welcome, and we're going to go over a few checkmates, a few basic checkmates. We're just going to be pawnless checkmates with just pieces. So to start with, let's go with an easy one. We begin with just about the easiest checkmate procedure possible in a pawnless endgame. White will use the staircase technique to achieve the win. So it's a queen and a rook against their own king. The rook confines the king to ranks 7 and 8. Queen forces the king onto the 8th rank, and the rook finishes the game. So let's drop the rook, and it's a king and queen against the king. Now the king will have to do some work. That's the white king will have to work here. So first of all, we play queen d4, and we create a little box, and we're going to use the box technique to win the game. And this box will shrink with every move. King f3 is played, and we have to bring the white king down to support the queen. Queen takes away another rank. And that's the box getting smaller and smaller. Now the white king will come down to support the queen. Black king stuck in this little box. Now the white queen traps the black king on the home rank. And now the white king comes down to support the queen to make the final checkmate. There it is. We saw how easy it was for a king and queen to finish off with one king. What if the white king is a minor piece with him? Will this give him better chances? The answer is no. Observe. So now we see that the white bishop only has control of white squares. So if the two black pieces remain largely on the black squares, the dark squares, and the white bishop becomes a little irrelevant. And it's basically just the same thing as the king and queen is against the king. Bishop might as well not be there. Now the king is down to 2 squares. And there's your mate. The knight is every bit as useless up against the queen. King and knight will try and stay together. Black is heading for the center. And the white pieces are moving the 2 black pieces over to the edge, where the scope of the king and knight will be reduced. A little bit of maneuvering now. They're actually trying to separate the two so that they can take the knight and then finish off the king. So black has 2 moves here. He's got king h3 or king f3. King h3 is not a good move because, well, you're going to the edge. And it's a quick end. So let's try king f3. Skewer takes care of the knight, and now we're into a king and queen versus king endgame, which we know is very short. There's the box. King cuts off the escape squares, and it's over. So rook pair against the king, and the rooks will use the staircase technique to deliver mate, but they must give the king a wide berth. So there's the box, but they're really going to go with the staircase. So the first rook puts distance between himself and the king, and here's the first part of the staircase. Second rook gets away from the king, and now the king has got a long way to travel before he can threaten the rooks again. So the rooks are forcing him down the board, and they're going to checkmate him on the home rank. He's getting over to those rooks, and he's actually attacking one now, but this is easily solved. White will take just a couple of moves to swing his rooks over the other wing, and there they will complete their task. And here we go. Rooks are back in business. Only one rank remains, and mate will follow. And there you have it. Checkmate. So what happens if you've only got one rook? Can you still win? No, we can. Instead of the staircase, we're going to use the box technique to win this king versus rook and king endgame. So the box gets a little smaller. The black king has still plenty of country to roam in. The white king moves forward to support the rook's advance. The king is safest in the center. I'll just show you why he doesn't go to the edge of the box, because he ends up in a much smaller box. Using the shrinking box technique to cut down the enemy king's space. White dares black to leave the box. Aren't far away hills always green? It's the same problem, smaller box. So he doesn't, stays in the bigger box, in the center. Again, the white king must get into position for more progress. This is the thing, the king must always support his rook. That's what takes the time. Taking away another rank. Black has a choice of quadrants that he can go to. You might think he's better off going to the bigger one at the top, but he's not, because he's only got the same amount of squares and the white king is closer to him. So he chooses the lower one, and the white king approaches again. This time the black king is not allowed the choice of leaving the box, as that would be in his interest. So a waiting move is played instead to put black in zugzwang. This is the waiting move, and black is forced to give more ground. Now rook d3 gives black a choice of two small boxes. He can go king g4 to a small box there, or he can take king e2. Either way, things are getting worse for him. Another waiting move. And as the game continues, black's choices get more and more unpalatable. Another file taken away. And there are no good options now. He's got two really, and they're both bad. So let's say he goes to king f1. After king g3, white plays one last waiting move to force black onto a terrible square. There it is. King g1 had to be played. That's checkmate. Bishop is a wonderful piece, and two of them working in concert are a sight to behold. Certainly a lone king is easy prey for the bishop pair, backed up by their own king. So in this endgame, we're going to show this bishop here. The squares he controls are going to be in red. We're going to show the squares controlled by this bishop in yellow, and the king, we're going to show the squares he controls in green. So as you can see, the black king only has this square here or backwards. So he's being driven out of the center. The dark squared bishop takes up a good central position, taking command of two key diagonals. This move increases the mobility of the light squared bishop. The king's only options are the three squares to the rear. When he leaves the center this time, he will not return. The bishops are working in tandem now, creating walls that the enemy king cannot break through. The stronger king watches on from the center, content to wait in the long grass in the way that a lion might as the others push the prey to the corner. Together the bishops command the double diagonal and are now able to roll it forward, driving the king back. He can try d6, but a waiting move from the stronger king will mean he can't stay there for too long. Now d6 is gone. So they're slowly pushing him back. The only flight square available off the back rank is e7. Now he's forced onto the back rank. King shadows him from the 6th rank. That's the only available square he had. Now the bishops will work to force him over to the corner. Nice waiting move there. Now that move takes away e8. So the king shadows him again. You can see that black king only has 3 squares to move around in, and his prison is going to get smaller. 2 bishops will take away diagonal by diagonal. So let's say he goes to king h8. Troops are positioned perfectly. The stage is set for checkmate. Only the corner remains now, and the execution is lined up to finish it. And there's the checkmate. What if he'd played king f8 instead? Same thing. It's pushed over one diagonal at a time. And checkmate. So now we come to the bishop and the knight against the king. King, knight, and bishop can force mate against the local king. It takes anywhere from 17 to 30 moves, depending on the starting position. The king on the back foot will of course try to stay in the centre, where he is harder to restrict with 8 adjoining squares. Those hunting him down will look to push him right into the corner, where there are only 3 flight squares to cover. One final important note: a force mate can only be delivered by the bishop, with the king and knight covering the 3 escape routes. The knight can only deliver a mate with the king and bishop if the weaker king plays highly questionable moves. Therefore, the stronger side will be driving the fugitive to the corner square that is accessible to the bishop. Of course, the weaker king will be gravitating, when necessary, towards the corners of colours opposite to the bishop in order to evade mate. In this case, the king will be mated on one of the light square corners, a8 or h1, as in this scenario we have a light square bishop on g6. So he's in check, so the first move, king d4, stays in the center. So the stronger king moving into direct opposition, trying to push him back. The yellow squares are controlled by the bishop, the red squares by the king. Attacking the knight. And we're going to show the knight squares in green. So he's covering that square and attacking the king. Bishop has these 2 squares here. And having inevitably lost the corner, the fugitive heads for the dark square corner that is a1. This is the corner he wants to be in because the bishop can't control it. So one of these 2 squares is where black wants to drive the king. King moves towards the center and down towards his counterpart. So the 3 black pieces will be coming to the corner to drive the white king out of there. Again, the bishop is protecting the knight. The green square is controlled by the knight, the red by the king. Black knight controls the corner square. Now the king will come around, black king will come around and drive the white king out. That's what he's doing. So this is a well-known position in this endgame. The bishop will come around the outside and push the white king along the home rank here. This is the square they want to drive him to. King will be trying to stay away from there. Taking away b1 and forcing black to move along. So this is a well-known routine. These next moves. This traps the king on the first rank. Black king has these 2 squares. The knight is controlling this one. So the white king is trying to get out here and away up the board. He can. And it looks like he's going to do it. The optics suggested the king has outrun the posse and can break away up the board and make the draw through the 15 move rule. But in fact, as you will see, he is doomed. So king can go to f3 or g2. Sometimes one or the other is all the same. Bishop cuts off the escape route here. And now he's caught in a box. So the bishop, knight, and king work in harmony to form a blockade on the third rank. The bishop has this diagonal here, so the king is not going anywhere. He's only got one square actually, it's f2. And again, he's caught in the box. And the dominant king waits patiently for the chance to close off the e5. They slowly maneuver around. King e1 can't be played because that's checkmate. So it must be king g1. And he's been forced reluctantly towards that corner. Now it's near the end. He's got two squares, h1 or h2. So he goes for h2 is the move. It's the same thing. And now it's just a question of maneuvering the knight and bishop into position. So the knight forces the king into the corner, and now the bishop delivers the mate. So we're on to a knight pair now. And this is the first time we're going to look at an endgame where force mate is not possible. Wow. Two knights work hard. And they can certainly corner the king. Just don't have speed to corner him and deliver the checkmate. So the ironic thing is, even though two knights can force a king into a corner and stalemate him, they can't checkmate him because of the stalemate rule. But if the weaker side has a pawn, it's detrimental to his cause because then the stalemate rule is not available and the knights have time to get the checkmate. We're just going to see how that works. This endgame shows how a knight pair can force mate if the weaker side has a pawn not beyond the Trotsky line. This is because the pawn actually robs his king of the stalemate defense in the irregular two knights endgame. I'm going to pick it up from the 63rd move. We're going to see how this endgame played out. So this knight squares are going to be in yellow, this knight squares are going to be in green, and the king square are going to be in red. This game is won for black, as the white is not beyond the Trotsky line shown in green. If white does not have a pawn beyond these squares, then he doesn't have time to promote. This means that black will have enough tempi later on when the white king is stalemated in the corner to move the checkmating knight into position to strike the knockout blow. The f5 knight will remain where he is for quite a while. His job is to blockade the pawn, while the king and f6 knight round up the white king and slowly corral him into the corner. The white king tries to stay as close to the center for as long as he can. He is safe there with plenty of flight squares. He doesn't want to be anywhere near the corner where he can be, well, cornered. Not for the last time, the white pawn does his king no favours. The pawn helps to block the fugitive and allows the two knights to drive him back. and slowly, you can see him slowly moving them into the corner. Note that there is no question of capturing the pawn. This presence of this pawn on the board is the key to a victory for the knight pair. The knight continues to patiently maneuver to his optimal square. White king has been herded into the corner and the black pieces are in prime position. So now the f5 knight can leave his blockading post. White will not have time to promote the pawn and get his queen into the game. The two knights will close the mating net around the corner king long before this happens. So you can see what a small box the white king is in. And it's getting smaller. Off goes the pawn, but he's much too slow. This knight is coming round. Stalemating the king. Ironically, possession of the passed pawn, usually such an asset in the endgame, is here fatal to white's cause. Were the pawn not on the board, this game would be a draw. This position would be a stalemate since the king hasn't a move. But with the pawn on the board, white must stay on, and black has the easy task of bringing his second knight around to checkmate the king before the pawn can do any damage. And there's the checkmate. So, there you have your basic checkmates. Thanks for watching.
Think I can fly. Think I can fly when I'm with you. My arms are wide, catching fire as the wind.